Alright, now we're going to be looking at the Unit 4 multiple choice review. Please note that if you have questions on the free response portion of the review, those are posted separately online, and you can pick and choose which one best suits your need. So, here we go. Number 1 is talking about finding the probability that a teenage driver has been issued a ticket for speeding, but not for running a red light. Well, for this problem, as with most of the problems where we're giving two sections with an overlap, drawing a picture might be the best way to do it. So we have a speeding ticket and a red light ticket. So 4% have had both, which means if 12% have been ticketed for speeding, that means minus the 4, that's 8 goes here. 9 for red light, minus 4, 5 goes here. So what's the probability that you've been targeted for speeding but not for running a red light? That would give you B. Number 2 says which two events are most likely to be independent? Being a senior, going to homeroom? I don't know about that. I have found that is much less likely the older a person gets. Being registered to vote and being left-handed, those have nothing to do with each other. Having a car accident and having a junior license, I could see a relationship. Doing your homework, getting an A on a test, I definitely see a relationship. Having 3 inches of snow and not being on time for school. So the ones that I see have the fewest amounts of relationship is B. Now for number 3, the big thing here is that you are told independent. If you are told independent, that means the probability of A and the probability of A given that something else has occurred are to be equal. So if I'm looking for the probability that somebody has gone to Home Depot and the museum, that's this portion here, I can set up several different probabilities. I can do x over 80 is 30 over 20. I can do 80 over 120 is x over 30. And so I'm just going to do that second one. I'm going to do x over 30 is 80 over 120, and when I cross multiply to solve, with that portion I get 20. And by the way, you would then be able to go through and find all of the missing pieces. But in this case, it is C, 20 people. 6 Republicans and 4 Democrats applied for 2 open positions on a planning committee. We're looking for what's the probability that they both come from the same party. That's the probability that they're both Republican, plus the probability that they're both Democrat. So both being Republican, there are 6 Republicans. Let me make this a little easier to read. There are 6 Republicans out of the original 10, and if the first person's chosen, then there are 5 Republicans out of the remaining 9. And if they're Democrats, there are 4 Democrats out of the original 10, and if one is chosen, there will be 3 out of the remaining 9. When we add those two probabilities together, you get 42 out of 90, which is D. Now, for this problem, we have already had 16 heads out of 20, which means that there are 180 coins left to toss. And each coin has a 50-50 shot of getting heads. So 16 plus a 50-50 shot for the remaining 180 means that there are C, 96 expected coins. Remember, you can only talk about what's expected in the future plus what has already happened in the past. Now, this is kind of a trick question. We're looking for the standard deviation. We can only combine standard deviations and follow those rules if the events are independent. We do not have a stipulation for expected value. We do have that for standard deviation. Now, personally, I believe that how much I would spend on mortgage and how much I spend on groceries would be somewhat dependent on each other. You have less to spend if you spend more in one other area. So this one is E. It cannot be determined because we don't know if it is independent. And I would say it is probably not independent. Which of these is a geometric model? A geometric model is talking about going until an event occurs or until the first of something happens. And let's see here. There's my key word. There's my keyword until. So that happens in D. For the next problem, however, we're looking at the same sets, but we're looking for binomial. Binomial is saying you have a set number of events and you're counting successes. Set number of events. I would say that that would be C. The number of hits a baseball player gets in 6 times at bat. Now the reason why for part D I did not choose number of people we survey until we find someone who knows. I'm sorry, this is actually wrong. 7 is not D. And the reason why 7 is not D is because for aces, this is not independent. Remember, in order to say geometric or binomial, it has to be independent. So this is not independent. That's just weird. Number C, or letter C, is independent. Part D is not independent, because remember, we are drawing from a deck without replacement. And this one here should be independent. So looking again, independent until is E. Independent fixed set is C. Now for number 9, you're looking at the probability that you find free aces in, find 2 free in a 6-pack. So this is binomial with a probability of success of 0.12, 6 events definitely occurring. And if you were to do this on an AP test, I would expect you to see this. And you're looking at the probability that X equals 2. But seeing as we're just working this out here, that's the binomial PDF of having 2 successes. And that gives you 13. Number 10. How many items would you expect to buy to find one that scans incorrectly? This is a geometric distribution because you're going until you have a success or until a failure. And in actuality here, the probability of failure is 0.002 because we're looking for probability of something incorrect. So the expected value of incorrect is 0.1 over 0.002. So I'd expect to go through 500 of these. The other side of this works pretty much the exact same way as the front, just slightly different problems. Which events are most likely to be independent, to have the least amount of relationship from one to the other? I'm looking at all of these ideas. Driver's license and blue eyes? Yeah, I don't think they've got anything to do with each other. For part 2, if political decisions are independent, what's the probability that only Hillary runs for president? That's going to be the probability that Hillary does run and the other guy does not run. So 0.45 times 0.8 is 0.36. And just as before, we know that things are independent if the probability of one is the same thing. For example, the probability of lefties is the same thing as the probability of lefty given it's a girl. So I would say the probability of a lefty, I'm just working the side by side instead of up and down like I did last time. I'm going to say probability of lefty out of total is the probability of lefty given girl, so X out of 54. And when I cross multiply these two, you should come up with C, which is 9. Number 4, they're going to have the same gender if it is a girl and a girl, or if it is a boy and then another boy. Now, these are not independent of each other because what you choose for the first one affects the second one. So the probability of a girl the first time around is 3 out of 9. Second time around, there's one fewer girl, one fewer person. Same thing with probability of the boy. We start off with 6 out of 9. The next time we have one fewer person and one fewer boy, 5 out of 8. And when we multiply that together, you're going to come up with B, 1/2. Now for number 5, when we're talking about a geometric model, remember our first requirement in order to be Bernoulli, we have to have 3 things. We have to have success or failure, we have to have independence, and we have to have a constant success. Number of cards of each suit in a 10-card hand, well, that is not independent. The probability will change. The number of people we check until we find somebody with green eyes, that fits all conditions. So this is Bernoulli, not binomial, I'm just saying Bernoulli. Number of cars inspected until we find 3 with bad mufflers, muffler or no bad muffler. Constant probability, and those should be independent, so that does fit a Bernoulli trial. Number of Democrats among a group of 20 randomly chosen adults. That may be Bernoulli, I'm not sure. Because it depends upon where you are, whether or not they're independent. Number of aces among the top 10 cards in a well-shuffled deck. Those are not independent. Probability does not stay the same. So it's saying which one of them is a geometric. We're looking for until. Well, with this one, this isn't saying until we find 3 with bad mufflers. So that doesn't quite fit the geometric. We're looking for just one person. Remember, geometric is just until one event occurs, not until 3 events occur. So that would be B. Whereas binomial, I would probably go back and say, because this one is definitely not binomial. This is kind of a mishmash of geometric and binomial. I would say, let's go ahead and say this guy is Bernoulli. And the number of Democrats among a group of 20, that would probably be my binomial. Okay, moving on to number 7. We want to find the probability that the 4th cone you see is the first jumbo. So what we're looking for here is we are looking for the probability that the event happens on the 4th cone. This is a geometric because it is looking until something occurs, and it's for one specific one, so PDF, success 1.2, going until the 4th event. That is going to give me A. Number 8, exactly something occurring. This is a binomial distribution out of 6 with a probability of success of being 0.12. And we're looking for the probability that x equals 1. So I could throw that in there and do a binomial PDF for exactly 1. And for the binomial PDF on that guy, you get C, 38. Okay, just like on the front, we already have 15 heads. We've tossed 20, so that means we have 180 left. And with a 50% chance of being heads, that means for number 9, I'd expect somewhere around 105. And on number 10, you're talking about what's the standard deviation of their combined scores. Again, you can find the expected value of any 2 events occurring or of any combination of events. The only way we can find standard deviation is if they are independent. And usually push-up and sit-ups are not quite independent of each other because somebody who is more fit is probably going to have more of each. So this one is cannot be determined because the events are not independent. Alright? And there you have it. I hope this helps. And again, if you guys are looking for assistance on the free response portion, you will also find those posted in their own video. Good luck!